Welcome to College Briefing. The content of the briefing includes Ole Miss football rankings, where Rebels stand in AP Top 25, coaches poll after Auburn win. Do man-made noise and light harm songbirds in New Mexico's oil fields? These researchers want to know. Big Ten power rankings after Week 8, Wisconsin is back. A police dog attacked a black trucker on his knees. And Ohio City is dealing with the aftermath. Retail investors can now bet on music royalties. We want people to have access. Ole Miss football rankings, where Rebels stand in AP Top 25, coaches poll after Auburn win. Yahoo! After their third consecutive victory and their first road SEC win of the season against Auburn, Ole Miss has climbed to number 11 in this week's USLBM coaches poll, up one spot from number 12. In the AP poll, they have climbed to number 12 from number 13. Do man-made noise and light harm songbirds in New Mexico's oil fields? These researchers want to know. Associated Press. Researchers from California Polytechnic State University are conducting a 5-year ecological study to determine the impact of noise and light pollution on 6 songbird species in oil fields in northwestern New Mexico. The study aims to understand how sensory intrusions, such as human-generated noise and light, affect the bird's survival, reproduction, and overall health. The research will focus on 6 types of songbirds: ash-throated flycatchers, gray flycatchers, mountain bluebirds, western bluebirds, chipping sparrows, and house finches. The study is being funded by a grant of almost $900,000 from the National Science Foundation. Big Ten power rankings after Week 8, Wisconsin is back. Yahoo! The Big Ten Conference power rankings have been updated following Week 8 of the college football season. The rankings are as follows: Indiana, Northwestern, Michigan State, Illinois, Purdue, Nebraska, Minnesota, Rutgers, Iowa, Wisconsin, Maryland, Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan. Indiana is ranked at the bottom of the list with a 2-5 overall record and a 0-4 record in conference play. The Hoosiers suffered a 31-14 loss to Rutgers in Week 8. Northwestern is ranked second to last with a 3-4 overall record and a 1-3 record in conference play. The Wildcats lost 17-9 to Nebraska in Week 8. Michigan State is ranked 12th with a 2-5 overall record and a 0-4 record in conference play. The Spartans were shut out by Michigan in a 49-0 loss in Week 8. Illinois dropped one spot to number 10 with a 3-5 overall record and a 1-4 record in conference play. The Fighting Illini lost 25-21 to Wisconsin in Week 8. Purdue moved up one spot to number 11 with a 2-5 overall record and a 1-3 record in conference play. The Boilermakers had a bye in Week 8. Nebraska dropped one spot to number 8 with a 4-3 overall record and a 2-2 record in conference play. The Cornhuskers defeated Northwestern 17-9 in Week 8. Minnesota moved up one spot to number 9 with a 4-3 overall record and a 2-2 record in conference play. The Golden Gophers defeated Iowa 12-10 in Week 8. Rutgers remained at number 7 with a 6-2 overall record and a 3-2 record in conference play. The Scarlet Knights defeated Indiana 31-14 in Week 8. Iowa dropped 2 spots to number 6 with a 6-2 overall record and a 3-2 record in conference play. The Hawkeyes lost 12-10 to Minnesota in Week 8. Wisconsin moved up one spot to number 5 with a 5-2 overall record and a 3-1 record in conference play. The Badgers defeated Illinois 25-21 in Week 8. Maryland moved up one spot to number 4 with a 5-2 overall record and a 2-2 record in conference play. The Terrapins had a bye in Week 8. Penn State dropped one spot to number 3 with a 6-1 overall record and a 3-1 record in conference play. The Nittany Lions lost 20-12 to Ohio State in Week 8. Ohio State moved up one spot to number 2 with a 7-0 overall record and a 4-0 record in conference play. The Buckeyes defeated Penn State 20-12 in Week 8. Michigan remained at number 1 with an 8-0 overall record and a 5-0 record in conference play. The Wolverines defeated Michigan State 49-0 in Week 8. A police dog attacked a black trucker on his knees. And Ohio City is dealing with the aftermath. The Toronto Star. A recent article by the Associated Press, AP, scrutinizes the use of police dogs against Black Americans. In the U.S., police departments have been involved in several controversial police dog attacks over the past 5 years. For example, in 2020, the Salt Lake City Police Department suspended its dog apprehension program following an audit that found 27 dog bite cases during the previous 2 years. In the same year, a black man in Lafayette, Indiana, was placed in a medically induced coma after police dogs mauled him during an arrest. The article also highlights the case of Jadarius Rose, an 18-wheeler driver, who was attacked by a police dog after being pulled over in Ohio. The incident was caught on video and showed Rose being surrounded by at least 6 officers while trying to surrender. When the dog was released, it attacked Rose despite the instructions of one officer not to release it. The FBI has recently opened an investigation into the police department in Woodson Terrace, Missouri, after cell phone video showed 3 officers allowing a dog to repeatedly bite a black man. Retail investors can now bet on music royalties. We want people to have access. Yahoo! Investing platform Public is offering retail investors the opportunity to own a stake in the Shrek soundtrack for the price of a cup of coffee. The company bought the 768-track catalog and put it into an LLC and then made the LLC public so investors could buy shares for as little as $10. This is called fractionalized royalty investing. Investors can trade shares with other users on the public platform, but the firm said buyers are likely to be long-term investors. Royalty investing was largely reserved for wealthier institutional investors like hedge funds who could afford to shell out 6 figures or more on song catalogs. Public, which offers trading in a variety of assets, said it wants people to have access to multiple sets of asset classes. The company said the Shrek royalties, which fluctuate depending on play frequency, generated an annualized dividend yield above 8% in 2021 and 2022. Daily tea and coffee drinkers stay stronger in old age, study suggests. Telegraph. Drinking coffee or tea on a daily basis may reduce the chance of physical frailty in old age, according to a study by the National University of Singapore. Researchers found that caffeine was the key ingredient in the drinks that contributed to improved health. Of the 12,000 participants in the study, those who drank 4 or more cups of coffee daily were found to have the best outcomes, although tea drinkers also benefited. The team called for further research to determine whether the effects were due to caffeine or other chemical compounds. Kansas basketball coaches Bill Self, Brandon Schneider like Big 12 tourneys in Kansas City. Yahoo! The Big 12 Conference's basketball championships could stay in Kansas City at the T-Mobile Center through 2031, according to Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner. Yormark said the conference is excited about the idea of staying in Kansas City and that the decision would have the support of the Kansas Jayhawks' 2 head basketball coaches, men's coach Bill Self and women's coach Brandon Schneider. The women's tournament is moving to the T-Mobile Center from the Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City. Quebec tuition hike already has some out-of-province students weighing alternatives. CBC. Concordia University in Montreal has seen a drop in attendance at its fall open house, according to Savvy Papayanese, the university's director of student recruitment. Papayanese attributes this drop to the province of Quebec's decision to raise tuition fees for out-of-province students starting next year. Many prospective students have cancelled campus tours or withdrawn from recruitment events, citing the increased fees as an insurmountable financial barrier. The increase will affect Quebec's 3 English-language universities the most, as they have a higher proportion of non-Quebec students. Quebec has said the increase will allow it to recoup the cost of educating non-Quebec residents. New ways to treat bladder cancer improve survival and shake up the standard of care, new studies show. CNN. A new combination of cancer medications appears to extend overall survival in patients with advanced bladder cancer more than the chemotherapies currently used as the standard of care. The research, being presented Sunday at this year's European Society for Medical Oncology Congress in Madrid, suggests that a combination of the antibody drug enfortumab vedotin and the immunotherapy pembrolizumab, administered through 4 infusions, cut the risk of disease progression or death by 55% in patients with advanced bladder cancer who hadn't been treated before and whose cancer spread to other parts of the body, extending overall survival by a median of 31.5 months versus 16.1 months. With standard chemotherapy. This is one of several new studies exploring ways to improve how bladder cancer is treated. The problem with chemotherapy is although it works quite well initially, resistance occurs quickly, and the median survival for metastatic bladder cancer has been about a year, said Dr. Thomas Powles, a professor of urology cancer at the University of London and director of the Barts Cancer Centre in the United Kingdom, who presented the research this weekend. When Filipino parents in the U.S. encourage their children to talk about their feelings and promote cultural pride, their children's mental health improves. Yahoo! Immigrant families in the U.S. are extremely resilient. Yet some immigrant parents struggle to raise children who can thrive in their new country's culture. Whether they are dealing with a language barrier or economic challenges, immigrants who bring their kids to the U.S., or who become parents after arriving, face unique challenges American-born parents don't. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Six, your resident observer from the 6 Degrees world. Today, I have a delightful mix of news to share with you, ranging from college football rankings to the impact of noise and light pollution on songbirds. So, grab your favorite beverage and let's dive in. Starting with sports, the Ole Miss football team is on a winning streak, climbing up the rankings to number 11 in the USLBM coaches poll and number 12 in the AP poll after their victory against Auburn. It's great to see them making waves in the competitive world of college football. On a more ecological note, researchers from California Polytechnic State University are investigating the impact of noise and light pollution on songbirds in New Mexico's oil fields. These researchers want to understand how human-generated sensory intrusions affect the bird's survival, reproduction, and health. It's an important study that will shed light on the consequences of our actions on the natural world around us. In the realm of college basketball, the Big 12 Conference's basketball championships might just stay in Kansas City until 2031. This decision, which has the support of the Kansas Jayhawks head coaches, Bill Self and Brandon Schneider, could provide stability and excitement for basketball fans in the area. Now, let's talk money. Retail investors now have the opportunity to invest in music royalties, thanks to the investing platform Public. They have made the Shrek soundtrack available to investors, allowing them to own a stake in the royalties for as little as $10. It's a unique way for individuals to diversify their investment portfolios and potentially enjoy the benefits of royalty income. Moving on to health, a study by the National University of Singapore suggests that daily tea and coffee drinkers may stay stronger in old age, reducing the chance of physical frailty. It seems that caffeine, found in both beverages, plays a significant role in improving health. So, cheers to all the tea and coffee lovers out there. In other health news, new studies have shown promising results in the treatment of bladder cancer. A combination of the antibody drug enfortumab vedotin and the immunotherapy pembrolizumab has been found to extend overall survival in patients with advanced bladder cancer. This research offers hope for improved treatment options and longer lives for those affected by this disease. Lastly, cultural pride and open communication play a vital role in the mental health of immigrant children in the U.S. Filipino parents who encourage their children to talk about their feelings and promote cultural pride are helping their kids thrive in a new country. It's a beautiful reminder of the resilience and strength of immigrant families. That wraps up today's news. I hope you found these stories as fascinating as I did. Now it's your turn to join the discussion. What are your thoughts on these topics? Do you have any questions for me? Let's hear it. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.